the first day that I arrived there, I didn't know I was going, but I arrived there, and I walked into this room. There were I guess about 70 different inmates, and on the right hand side were all the foreigners. There were about 15 of us, and some of them were from Africa, a few from Korea. I was the only Canadian there. And as I went to sit down, one of the brothers from, I think it was Somalia, looked up at me and said, "Welcome to hell." And the days following, I could see where he was coming from with that comment. None of us had a release date. None of the foreigners had a release date. We didn't know when we were getting out or if we were getting out or anything. All of the other inmates were Chinese. There were about 50 of them, I would say, 60 or so. And we were in a place that looked like a classroom. It was probably maybe 30 feet long and 25 feet wide. And we were packed in there like sardines sitting at desks. And as the days turned into weeks, there happened to be a young man there from, I don't know, one of the African countries. But a Muslim man turned to me and said, "You see that man over there?" I said, "He's a real Christian." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "There's nothing fake about him." And I'll tell you, that had such an impact on me. I got together with this man later, and because we had no Bible, we would sit down and try to think of Bible verses beginning with each letter of the alphabet from A to Z, and then try to quote them as we remembered them. When you go without the Bible and you have to rely only on your memory, you realize just how precious it is to you. As we sat there and the days turned into weeks, we formed a prayer meeting. By the end of 7 weeks, all 15 or 20 of the foreigners, we were together in one room where we would sleep at night. We were singing hymns and psalms and so forth, and to encourage ourselves. One by one we were released. What I learned in that prison is something that I don't think you could learn anywhere else. And one of the things I learned is that, no matter where you are, God is with you, and He will meet. The Bible says, "Where two or more are gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst of them." That friend who was called a real Christian and not a fake Christian was taken into the office one day by the chief, and they questioned him about a video they saw on his phone where he had been going to a prayer meeting and had unwittingly took videos of it in China. And they asked him who the leader was, but he wouldn't tell them. And they asked him point blank, "Do you believe in Jesus Christ?" And he told them directly, "I do." And he asked them, "Do you?" And they said to him, "We believe in ourselves." I think it's a remarkable thing that a man in that position, with no hope of release, still stood up and said, "I believe. Do you?" That had a great impact on my life.
So we're getting some seriously awesome videos of what it looks like for entertainment purposes only, motherships off the coast in the Gulf of Mexico, possibly also known as the Gulf of Mexico. I don't know where we're at with that. I'm not sure if that's final or not. You can let me know. I haven't kept up on that. I'm sorry. But either way, I want you to see these videos because it's really awesome. They caught it, a few people caught it on the live cam that overlooks the ocean. And then they're also seeing them pop up in other places over the ocean, which I think is really funny because if you watch Bashar, I totally watch Bashar. I am weird in a lot of ways. If you follow me, you know this already. If you don't, welcome. Hello. Anyways, Bashar said that what they were going to do was they were going to start showing themselves slowly, and then they were going to show their bigger ships off the coast and just like sit there so that we could see them, but we would know that they weren't aggressive and we would know not to be scared because we could just, sit there and see that they're not doing anything. They're just saying, "Hello, we're over the ocean." So check out these videos.
Oh, God. Can you see that being there? And This was around at 6:15 p.m. on January. This is crazy stuff, my friends. Do you think these things are from other worlds or they are human-made, just with lots of lack of honesty? You see, please leave your comments on this. Or they were doing fishing.
I don't know about you, but I'm super excited about this because it seems like they're getting closer. And these ones, because it was recorded on that beach cam, I mean, you really can't fake a beach cam. Plus, they look really real. I mean, AI is amazing. You can do a lot of things with AI. It makes it very difficult, but I think I think they're real. My opinion. Anyways, I was really excited about that. Okay, love you, bye.
What's going on here? Are these guys on a plane or what's up? Is this on the clouds or on the water? This is wait, which is that place? And then there's this cat here. Oh, it looks beautiful. Is this a cat or which animal is this? Which animal is this?
Did you know that the moon is 1/400th of the diameter of the sun, and that the sun is 400 times further away than the moon, which means that in the sky, the sun and the moon are basically the same size. Now, if the moon was slightly closer or slightly further away, we would never have a total eclipse. That's wonderful and fascinating, don't you think?
So what's an API? Let me explain in 59 seconds. Let's go. So you walk into a library. That's you. That's library. To find science fiction books. And you can go to the book storage yourself. Instead, you go to the librarian who checks your library card first and then processes your request, bringing you one or more books matching your criteria. In this example, the library is an app. The book storage is the application database. The librarian is the API. The library card is the API key. And science fiction, your API, search query. 59 seconds, easy.
A common myth about marriage is that marriage is a romantic relationship. Dating is a romantic relationship, which is necessary in order to get two people to agree to this crazy thing called marriage. But once you get married, I'm not saying that there's no place for romance. And indeed, there are some marriages where they have incredibly deep romantic connections to each other. But that's not the purpose of the marriage. The purpose of the marriage is what you build together. And the way to build together is to be together. In other words, to be united. So if it's romance that brings you together, that's great. But if it's a higher spiritual calling that brings you together, that's great. The main thing is unity, being one, being completely united in your goals.
Yeah. Salt plus sugar is equals to snow. No way. How is that possible? Salt plus sugar equals to snow. No. That is a concussion for curing the stomach in this side of the world. This is a remedy for stomachache. Allegedly, that's what makes up snow. So if you eat snow, you say no to stomachache. I don't know, English people, is that true? This is crazy. Ah, yeah. Oh, so you just add a little bit of some water. Wow. Hmm. Let's see if it is really for me. I don't think this is true. Ay, it is working. Ay, 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 ay. So English people snow is basically salted sugar. Did you know that yourself? I didn't. Wait for the most epic show ever. Look at this. Oh, what is that thing that has just passed the moon? I'm a glowing orb. What's up? Is that a star? Doesn't look like a star. It is moving. I don't think I've ever seen stars do that. Unless this is now the new gen stars. This is crazy. Aye, look at what it's doing. Oh my god. What? Oh, UFO of God.
So there was an incident where a piece of ice went through the next door neighbors. The neighbor next door saw the ice fall from the sky, and I don't know if you can tell, but there's a little bit of ice. There's ice over here. Fire department, fire department, police officers here trying to figure out. I mean, obviously it had to have come from a plane. I mean, where else could it come? I mean, and the lady next door she actually saw it come down. So now they're here. Yeah. And it must have been walking. And it just sounded like a big bomb, like just went off or something?
I didn't hear nothing.
Well, you were, yeah. So, and the neighbor next door is not home, so, this is just crazy. Yes, I like your top.
You're going down somewhere.
Yeah, well, can't wear that to school though.
Of course I can.
But I wonder how high this plane was.
30,000 feet probably.
Yeah, about at least 30,000.
Way up in the atmosphere and then just fell.
Wow.
But she said it was like this, really.
How big?
Like big.
Bigger than our
But it's
house.
hard to tell from the sky.
Yeah, it is.
Because I think that would have left
Are you gonna stay here,
For
or
a
are you
little
gonna?
while, yeah. I'm gonna be here for a little while, trying to figure out what's going
We're
on.
trying to go viral.
Yeah.
Unwritten work rule. The higher you climb up in the corporate ladder, the less your technical skills are going to matter. You might look at leaders who can't figure out how to share their screen in meetings or don't know how to convert a file into PDF, and you think to yourself, how did they ever get in their position? But here's the reality. They're not being paid to know how to do those things. You are. What they're actually paid for is setting strategic direction for the business, making high-stakes decisions, managing key relationships, and navigating complex politics. Their value comes from seeing opportunities that others miss and knowing how to execute on them. Because the higher you go in the corporate ladder, your success is going to depend more on how well you can build and lead teams, communicate your vision, and make decisions that impact the entire organization. Those technical details that you can't believe they don't know how to do, that's what they have you for. And this is why so many technical experts struggle when they get promoted to leadership. They keep focusing on the technical skills that got them there instead of developing the leadership skills they need to succeed. What got you here won't get you there. The sooner you understand this, the faster you'll grow in your career.
And you're not thinking right now. You're following orders. You're not thinking for yourself. You're not in touch with your soul. Because if you were, you would take that off and you would breathe freely, which is the #1 form of nutrition. And if you don't have proper oxygen, you can't have cognitive function. And if you can't think right, you're easily pushed around and controlled and manipulated.
What do you think is the #1 predictor of there being child abuse in a home?
An absent parent.
Very reasonable answer. And so usually in lecture 1 when I'm teaching an evolution psychology course, I'll ask this question and I'll start putting all the students' answers. And they're all reasonable answers. If there is alcoholism in the home, if one of the parents had been abused in their past so that they mimic that behavior onto their children, then all reasonable. Well, what if and by the way, no one guesses what the real answer is. So then I say, well, guess what, guys? You just listed 25 reasonable predictors. The #1 predictor is 100-fold more predictive than anything that's on that board. I've lectured this a million times. I'm getting goosebumps telling it to you right now. So let me explain what 100-fold means. In science, when let's say I want to check the efficacy of a drug and I want to compare it to a placebo, a sugar pill. Well, if it has a 1.2 odds ratio, meaning it's 20% more effective. So it's 1 to 1.2. That would be a big effect. 1 to 1.2. What I'm saying is 1 to 100. So it is astronomically greater effect than anything we would typically publish in science. Well, the #1 reason, Stephen, I've kept you in suspense long enough, is if there is a step parent
and the family. So there's a 100-fold increase in child abuse if the home is not made up of two biological parents. This is why the fable of Cinderella is such a universal fable, because it speaks to an evolutionary principle.
I am a battery-powered human, which means I don't have a pulse. And that is the fact of the matter. I run off these batteries and this controller, which attaches to a drive line 24/7 that is connected internally to my heart. And there's a small little motor that pumps the left side of my heart. I'll put a little image up here. I call her Janice. It's also known as an LVAD, which is a left ventricular assistive device. And I have dilated cardiomyopathy, which was caused by a genetic mutation called the TTN variant. How the genetic mutation came alive, I don't know if that's ever going to be known. But it comes with accessories. So when I'm not plugged into batteries, so because I have to be plugged into this at all times to this drive line, this is my power source. So this is what's going to be powering this. So if I'm not plugged into these, I plug in to this, which is the wall power unit, which I would unplug from my batteries and then plug the two connectors into here. This has a decent amount of cord, but not much. I wish I had a little bit more so I could get to more places in my apartment when I'm plugged into the wall, but it is what it is. So I sleep on this, and then this is what charges it. So this is the charger for the batteries. I have 6 batteries total, and I just rotate them in and out. So there's 2 open slots right now because I have my backup bag packed and ready to go to work. So that's my charging unit. Each battery lasts 18 hours a piece. And yeah.
Spiritual signs that you are ignoring. Number 1, if you have really strong dream recall, like your dreams are very vivid, and if you are able to remember them when you wake up. Some people, every time they dream, when they wake up, they remember it no matter what. I'm one of those people. That means those dreams have meaning, not just for you, for anything around you. So don't ignore your dreams if you're one of those people. Number 2, if animals and babies are attracted to you, you could be doing nothing, but certain animals and birds always come up to you, always around you, attracted to places you be, like your home or your vehicle. They are drawn to you. They're attracted to you, usually for your spirit, your energy. Animals and babies, they feel energy. If they come up to you for no reason, baby, you one of those. And number 3, everybody experiences this and they always try to ignore it or call it something else, but the ringing of the ears. But specifically, if you experience it before or after going somewhere, or before or after or during you speaking to someone, remember those times. That is not a coincidence. Stop letting people tell you stuff is a coincidence. But anyway, peace.
So y'all think I'm tripping? That motherfucking plane been sitting like this for a minute, but when I go zoom in, my phone does this. But when I zoom out, it does this. We're living in some fucking weird times, and that fucking plane or whatever it is been sitting like that for a minute, bro. And I've been over here for at least 15-20 minutes.
Happiest marriages are those characterized by what we call companionate love, not passionate love. I mean, passionate love is at the very beginning when you're actually bonding to each other, when you're neurochemically bonding to each other. But what you want to get to within 5 years is best friendship. And best friendship is a magical thing. And you get to live with your best friend. It's who you get to watch TV with every night.
And they've got your back on literally everything.
And you're not competing with each other. I mean, it's like no matter how much you're screwing up to the world and how much they think you're a complete goofball, they're still going to defend you.
Yeah.
Do you remember the ozone layer? Was that just a 90s thing? Is it better now? We just stopped talking about it? I mean, what? What happened to that?
If this was, I'm going to use this word predicted for lack of a better word. This is not prophecy, but prediction. If this was predicted 27 years ago, somebody knew something. Okay, here's the list. This is an abbreviated list. I could have made it much longer. You know I can. I didn't. Okay, you ready for the list? Fast mutating viral disease pandemics. Genetically developed vaccines. Smart IDs. 1997! I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scream, but, just make sure none of you are nodding off, because the eyes get heavy and... DNA database tracking. DNA chips. Get this one. 1997, gene-based pharmaceuticals. Transmitting genetic instructions for a disease process. How about this one? You ready for it? Wait for it. Artificial intelligence to determine gene patterns. 27 years ago, who had heard about AI? Apparently they had. How about this one? Robots for doing genome sequencing.
Robots? Wow. Okay.
And then this one blew me away. Using recombinant DNA for making spike proteins. 1997? It gets even worse. Smart homes.
Smart cities.
They have a whole chapter on smart homes / smart cities.
Yeah.
This one will absolutely floor you. It did me. In 1997, and this is, you can do the word search and research yourself. They predicted not 2025, but by 2020, that people would be working from home virtually.
No.
Come on. Listen, that's, I mean, how do you know that? Because you're the one who did that. World War III, of course. Nuclear devices causing widespread contamination.
Yeah.
Nanotech devices. This stuff was never even heard of. Digital currency.
Mm-hmm.
And last but certainly not least, vaccination programs. I'm sorry, I got to chuckle, because if I don't, I'll cry. Vaccination programs run by organizations like the World Health Organization for a global killer that has yet to emerge.
Guys.
First printing, February 1997.
If this was published 27 years ago, it means somebody knew something. The last part actually got me. The vaccination programs run.
Look at this. What's going on? Yo, it's in the waters again. There's some weird activities there. Are you seeing this? Is that a creature in the water? Submarine? Some humans swimming as a group? What's
I'm
up?
just confused. Are all Christians going to be killed, period, if we don't get the mark? Yes, all Christians will be killed if they don't get the mark. If you live during the tribulation period, you are going to fall into one of these groups of people. You are either going to be a Christian and you're going to be killed for your faith, for the testimony that you have, or the word of God. Second group is a Christian, but you lose your faith during the tribulation and you decide to take the mark to save your life so you can buy and sell. Or 3, you are of the nations. The Gentiles, atheists, any other religion. All 3 are going to be offered the mark, except for a small subsection in the group of the nations. And this small subsection will be the remnant. Now, this remnant, God has chosen for whatever reason he decides, but this remnant was chosen to live throughout the tribulation and to be supernaturally hid and protected. And in my opinion, they will be saved for their testimony that they will have to the future generations to come who live in the millennial reign. But the book of Revelation says that the remnant will be carried on the back of eagle's wings, where they will be supernaturally hid, similar to what we see with Elijah when he was hiding in the woods by the brook and the ravens came and brought him food. Now, the people who are the remnant, they will be representations of Israel and of the nations. And also within this nations, you're going to have both Japheth and Ham. So all three will be present, similar to the story of the flood, where you have Ham, Shem, and Japheth in their bloodlines. And they will be carried on the back of eagle's wings during that short time when Satan is let loose, the dragon. And he goes to wage war on the rest of the saints that are remaining. Those are going to be the 6 seal martyrs. That is who the other martyrs in the 5th seal are waiting for, their brethren who will be killed as they were. And this remnant, after the Battle of Armageddon is over, they are going to come out wherever they are, whether it's in the rubble, in the rocks, and in the caves. But they are going to see this destruction, and they're not really going to understand what's going on. The key thing to being a part of the remnant is they didn't know Jesus. They were never given that chance to know him, come to believe in him, and have faith, and then lose their faith. So when they see all of this going on, the remnant is actually going to be the only ones who see this ensign on the mountain when Jesus comes after the Battle of Armageddon. And Jesus will be with the 144,000 who are singing a brand new song. And this song is similar to the Song of Moses, where the Song of Moses taught the children of Israel this song. And it was basically to remind them of the blessings of obedience and the curses of disobedience just before they walk into the promised land and they're entering this new covenant. So when the 144,000 are singing this new song, it's going to be to this remnant to tell them of this covenant that they are entering into as they're entering into the promised land of what will be in the millennial reign. And this remnant, they will rejoice because they were chosen to live and to be this generation 1. And they get to live in Zion and they get to live peacefully. There won't be war anymore. And they won't even have to have walls around their city because they are protected by God. But they rejoice out of confusion because the true reward was the first resurrection. And I'm assuming being a part of the 144,000 is another reward in and of itself. But that's for like 0.00001% of the population. But the true reward is reigning as a king and a priest of God in that millennial reign, which you only get if you are a martyr for Christ or for the word of God or the testimony that you hold. And when the remnant come to Zion, to this ensign that they see, we will see the prophecy fulfilled from Isaiah, where Jesus will proclaim the gospel to them, who he is, what he came to do, and what he did, and what just happened, and now what they are going to be a part of. And when this remnant comes, it'll also be the fulfillment of the 2-stick prophecy that we see in Ezekiel, where way back in the Old Testament, you had the tribes of Israel were split up into the northern and the southern kingdom. In the prophecy of Ezekiel, the 2-stick prophecy, those 2 sticks, the northern and the southern kingdom, are going to come together to be one once more. That is, of course, coming together when they are all in Mount Zion, going